Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hi, you're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
Yo, we're here. It's Positively Pipeman segment of the Adventures of Pipeman right here on W4CY Radio. And we are going to talk today about a couple of cool subjects. You know, as you know, first half of this episode, we usually do some health stuff and some pet health stuff. Second half, we do some business stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. In the second half of the show, we're going to talk about some creative follow-up methods in business. Something that you can use to follow up and gain more business. So you're going to want to stick around for that. In between, sandwiched in between, we're going to do some ticket giveaways for Louder Than Life and Aftershock coming up in September and October. The Danny Wimmer festivals. Oh my God, what stacked lineups. All you're going to have to do is send a direct message to Pipeman Radio on all socials and you can win tickets. But for now, I love superheroes. And you know what? We have the pet health guru here that is going to tell us how your pet can become a superhero. Welcome, Bill. And I hear that the bird thinks so too.
Glad to be here.
The bird also thinks.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell us why and how your pet can become a superhero.
Well, you know, we talk about this every week. Everything starts into the body with the nutritional levels that you have. And unfortunately, of course, in the standard of the industry, you know, we've been feeding our poor pets very, very low quality foods, which drags on their health. They're lethargic, they sleep all the time, and live much shorter lives. So just by doing a few easy steps, improving their nutritional levels, we can just kick it up a whole nother notch, add in some good training with that. Your dog and cats will look good, they'll feel good, they'll be at the top of their game. And like I said, it's just like you and I. If we don't take care of ourselves, we're going to be couch potatoes too.
That's exactly why, you know, I've had some health issues. That's exactly why I am as active as I am and eat so strictly as I do. It's not about life or death for me. It's about quality of life. And so I would rather make the sacrifice myself to eat stuff maybe I wouldn't want to eat and not eat stuff I would want to eat just so I can feel good and live life to the fullest. And I believe that's what you're doing for pets too, isn't it?
It's exactly right. You know, our sponsors on my show, Pet Health Cafe, we do a lot of diets and entrees for your pet, dogs and cats, primarily carnivore. But we also, as well, if you're on a carnivore diet, we have some steaks. But anyway, it's about clean food too. It's about the way they're raised, humanely raised, ethically raised, regenerative farms. So we're getting the highest quality we can, the best finished products, the pasture-raised products, so that we can, starting out with a great energy source to begin with. We're following the species appropriateness of it, how they actually eat in nature, because animals eat in certain ways, certain body parts, and you know, if they're a carnivore, because they know instinctively what's good for them. And then what we do is we take it to the next level with that and include other things that would be in their diet that people wouldn't even suspect. For instance, like different herbs and botanicals um, that are cleansing, high in minerals, and going to really kick up the body. The superfoods, basically, and we don't think about it. When I talk with veterinarians, especially, and other nutritionists, okay, Bill, we'll give you the raw food diet. Um, as okay, that's your opinion. You think it's great, everything else, but they don't season their foods. But they also do not drink out of Nestle's water bottles. They're drinking out of puddles, and those puddles are, in the ground, absorbing minerals, absorbing the plant material that's there, and basically they're drinking herbal teas, if you will. No, a good illustration of that is you walk your dog after a rainstorm, and they smell every puddle, but they don't drink out of each one because it's not about thirst. They're looking for nutrients. So after 20 puddles, all of a sudden you're standing there yelling, "Don't drink the dirty water." What made that one different? It's minerals and the vegetation that might be in it. Superfoods like spirulina, chlorella. It's a natural algae product. When they drink out of a pond, they're going to get that. We don't think about that. We're trying to filter all this stuff out. And actually, we need it as well to keep healthy.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would think that all these resources we're provided for on Earth here to survive would already have all those things that we as man do to filter, poison, blah, blah, blah. They'd already be there if they were things we needed to do, is what I would think.
So we should be drinking out of the same
absolutely.
puddles.
I mean, when we think we should be, but of course we have to worry with chemtrails and weather modification, all that sort of thing, the chemicals that are associated with that. You go back 50, 75 years ago. Okay, we talk about minerals. The water itself was fairly clean because we weren't polluting it. But when it was transported into our homes using copper piping. And because of that, we had plenty of copper, which is one of the essential minerals we need to exist because we're electrical beings. We have to conduct that electricity throughout our body. And right now it's depleted because all the homes now, all the office buildings, everything's done in PVC, plastics. So we got the BPA, we've got the phthalates, we've got the plasticizers in our water supply, and no minerals. And then we add on a reverse osmosis unit or one of the other ones that are out there that literally strip all of them out. And of course, without minerals, we can't make hormones, we can't make body mass, we can't build muscle, and we're seeing it in our dogs. Everybody just thinks, I just go to the refrigerator and pour some of the tap water that's coming out through the water dispenser into it, and that's fine for the dog. But no, our animals need clean water just as much as we do. And of course, at one of the things that we are proponents on, of course, is we use a lot of ionized water, using special equipment that leaves the minerals in, charges them, and so it's living water, not dead water, and then keeping it out of plastic. So that's one area where water can actually be a superfood, if you will.
Well, what's interesting about that is so my ex-wife, thing one, her grandfather's place, which was then her father's place, up in Woodstock, Virginia, right across the street, there was a spring, and that's where they got their water from. That's where they drank the water from, and they would just put the bottle out there and fill it up, and you would look at this water, and the water was crystal clear. You didn't see any dirt in it. You didn't see anything, and there was no processing that needed to be done.
No, that's processing is one of the worst things that we call it processing and progression, but we've made so much of our stuff worse. And when it comes to the different herbals and botanicals that you would find in water, or that even the animals might munch on a little bit, if they were out of balance, the quality you see in most places is horrible because they don't disclose half the problems that we have with it. Um, you take herbs and even for yourself. Okay, you go to one of the big healthy food stores. That's where you buy a jar of turmeric, and we think of it that the ingredient says it's 100% pure. However, when they fill those bottles, those jars, those capsules, they have to use pneumatic air pressure um, devices that push it through. Well, all those herbs have got um, basically a static charge, especially going through plastic tubing, and it sticks and it plugs it up. So that jar of turmeric can have up to 10 different chemicals added to it as part of processing that are never show up on a label. Anti-cake agents, anti-stick agents, lubricants, flavors, all of that, because they have to add the flavors after they add the chemicals in just to mask that. So what you're getting is an incomplete product. We've had them when we look at it in testing, you'll find heavy metals extreme in a lot of these herbals, unless you have a good source of good organic, clean, well sourced product.
So I have to tell you, it's funny. You were mentioning copper before, and I was just in the grocery store the other day, and I was looking at a package because I always read like all the ingredients and stuff. But in the front of the package, it literally said a good source of copper. And I was like, I've never seen that before where you had to where they actually mention it on the package. And here's what I find as somebody that eats very healthy, that most of the packaging out there that mentions anything about health or a good source of something is usually bad for you because it means they're doing some kind of crap to it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. That's the processing. I mean, I was watching a podcast this morning where I talked about the worst pet foods, organic pet foods, and how the number of lawsuits because of what they put on the label. I mean, they're not talking, you know, uh, um, the truth. It's all a lie. Regenerative farms and, organically raised, ethically raised, all these buzzwords, these marketing terms are just thrown about. They have no legal meaning. So anybody can use them. And until you get caught, and even if you get caught, then what? You change it. You take it off your label.
Mm-hmm.
A good example of that was back when we started seeing dental problems in dogs. This was back in the late 70s, early 80s, because we went from feeding them meat or a meat-based food to carbohydrates. And they don't have the enzymes to break them down. Tartar sticks to it, and all of a sudden now we've got a whole bunch of dental problems in dogs. And they had actually, a lot of companies had now Cruncher for cleaner teeth, and it was actually doing just the opposite by making it so crunchy that the carbohydrates would stick to the teeth, and now you get all their teeth falling out. And
Wow.
the TC finally did make them take that off the label, but it was years.
Wow. What do you think, Juan? What do you feed? I want to know. Wait, I want to know what you're feeding your guppy, Juan.
I'm feeding them the good stuff, just the good chemicals. Because
Like,
I feel like, like he said, it's all a marketing scheme, right? So you buy food for your pets or whatever. It doesn't matter what it says on the label. You don't know what's actually in it because you're not the one who's processing this food. Or in this case, like the guppy takes kind of like these pellets that float and sink slowly, and they love it, but they just put like stuff like spirulina or whatever ingredients they may contain, but it doesn't say anything else other than how it was processed.
so, but in all seriousness, though, because there are probably a lot of people that have fish out there. Bill, what
Yeah, I
what
mean,
would you feed fish?
yeah. There's been some good fish foods out there, mostly the flake type. I don't like anything that's pelleted because that has to go through high temperature. But when you look at that little jar of or container of fish food, especially when it comes to the flakes, it's so light, and you're paying $10 for that for like a 2-ounce jar. Okay, you realize how expensive that is per pound? But see, if they make it into a pellet, they can add a lot of weight to it and make it look like it's a lot more nutrition than it really is. It's just all fillers.
Mm,
So that way I can fill up I can charge the same for a bigger container, and everybody thinks they're getting a bargain.
wow. So, is there a difference with like dogs and cats? What you would feed them of what a superfood is? First of all, what a superfood is for a dog compared to a cat, and what might not be for the other, or for the type of dog or cat. Like, is there certain things that are superfoods for a pit bull that wouldn't be for a poodle, or certain things that would be a superfood to a chihuahua that wouldn't be to a labradoodle, or in the same token with the cats, you have the calico cats, you have the Persian cats, you have the Siamese cats. Like, are there differences in all these different types of animals or pets?
Well, basically, their digestive tracts are all the same. All cats are the same. All dogs are the same. There's slight variations in them between the two species. Cats being an obligate carnivore, which means that the bulk of their diet has to be animal based. Dogs, on the other hand, are more of a opportunistic carnivore, which means they're more of a scavenger, so the quality doesn't have to be as the same as it is on a cat. That's why cats can be more finicky. Dogs will eat things like stones and drywall and your shoes and all of that, where the cats will leave those alone.
They'll eat the cat
Differences in
poop in
breeds.
the litter box.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's going to be because the cat poop probably has more protein than the average dry dog food, because obviously they can't digest. The problem is they don't have the enzymes to break down plant material very well. And we've got companies out there that are trying to do all plant-based, diets for dog carnivores, and oh well, then they're doing fine. Well, you're comparing it on a scale of, let's say, longevity, where we're now led to believe that dogs only live 6, 8, 10 years, where they used to live 20 to 30, and cats would live over 30 years. Oh, so you got a 15-year-old cat. Oh, they're doing fine on that vegetarian or that vegan food. It's not true. And they're not leaving. And of course, there's also on the other side of that, when we're talking about the carnivore components of even humans, we need those amino acids to build up our joints, keep the cartilage growing, heart health, all of that. And we've just been lied to because they're trying to dumb down society itself. And, you can't tell they don't want to tell us that our dogs are carnivores and just feed them meat, because they're trying to take meat out of our diet too. And they've actually been doing a lot on the backsides, what meats are available and what aren't. They subsidize certain things. They're feeding the cattle and the hogs and the chickens things that make them grow fast for weight, but not for nutrition. And the same thing even with our vegetables. They're almost all man-made today, through hybridization and GMOs and things of that nature. So they're not looking at nutrition. I remember a few years back, I was having a conversation with an executive chef that happened to come by the store, and we were making quiches for the dogs. Good way to get eggs into them. And he's like, "They smell fantastic." I said, "Try one." So he tried it, and he said, "It's better than what he did in his restaurant." He says, "Well, how much salt did you put in it?" I said, "None." He's like, "What? How did you get that taste?" It's the ingredients. How did you get the yellow color? I said, "Farm fresh eggs, raised on pasture." And he says, "No colors, nothing?" He says, "No." I said, "This is nutritionally a high nutrition food." He says, "I've never thought about nutrition when I've been cooking for the last 30 years. It's always about presentation and taste and smell. We want you to enjoy your hospitality." That's why it's called a hospitality industry. We're not a nutrition company. We don't care whether it kills you or keeps you alive. As long as we don't get a bad.
Ergo, the birth of the donut burger and chocolate covered bacon.
There you go.
So
There you
here's the
go.
thing. Here's the thing, okay? So for those people that are vegans out there, not vegans for health reason, but vegans for social reasons, and they want to feed their pets vegan stuff too. Let's say specifically cats. Um, what I'm getting from you is it's not healthy for them, first of all. But I think to myself, okay, you got these outside cats, versus the inside cats. Are they out there when they're hungry eating any of the vegetation?
No, no, very, very rarely would you find something in it. Would have to be in a very dystopic manner anyway, because, um, like basically starving to death. But they in nature though they eat a very diverse, more diverse diet. Down here in Florida, lizards can be a major portion of that, um, as well as mice and rats and other small mammals. But they also eat insects as well.
Mm,
And I guess that's where some of these insect-based meats have been developed through, because you know every animal has got a specific need, a requirement. And one of the things I've noticed, especially where I am right now, I plant a small garden. I've got some fruit trees. Getting the pollination process going. There's no bees. There's very few bugs. There's a few bugs. We're not seeing as many lizards. We're not seeing as many birds. This number of species of birds that I see now is limited so greatly because of this. We have to have lawns. We can't have food gardens. We can't have natural vegetation. It all has to be a manicured lawn, that's been nuked,
mm,
and our poor pets are walking on it.
wow. What do you want to add to this one about your experiences of what you've seen?
Well, I think if we can revisit the water situation, because we always look for the best water, reverse osmosis, this, that. We even go as far as getting filters for the house, but we're still giving tap water to our pets. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Like, if you wouldn't drink it yourself, maybe don't give it to your pets.
Exactly, and as I mentioned, things like reverse osmosis is taking the minerals out. So how do you get them back in your body? Synthetics, and those don't get used very well at all.
Now,
And
the interesting
you
part
know,
about
it,
that is that there are some filters that are for reverse osmosis, but they have the alkaline element. So would that be synthetic as well?
basically when they're making what's called greenwashing, that we actually see, where they make something seem like it's better than it is. Most of the alkaline products that go into the RO, it's sodium bicarbonate. And of course, the number one brand that's out there and manufacturer is Arm& and Hammer. Their stuff is all synthetic. It's not a natural product. And we're only looking at one small element of that as well. You need 90 different minerals. When they raise our food, they're putting on three.
Hmm.
So our food is starting out without the minerals. Now our water's without the minerals because we stripped it all out. And we're putting in substitute stuff that the body just can't use.
Mm.
So what would you say is the best way for us to get our minerals, not just ourselves, but our pets as well?
You start out, I mean, if you can afford one of the ionizing units, that sort of thing, those are very expensive. That would be ideal. Um, Good spring water, as Dean mentioned. I mean, I grew up on our property that we used for vacation. It had 13 natural springs. It couldn't get any better than that. Um, you know, course, when you're looking at the springs, at least it's coming out of the ground. When you get down 2 miles downstream, who knows what's been dumped into it? What's what has leached
Right.
out? Um, Rainwater used to be good, but again, it's the same problem that we have with all the pollutants and everything. So collecting
Mm.
rainwater is far from ideal now. That we still have to filter, and thing with using things like charcoal and zeolite and things that'll absorb a lot of these. Adding chlorella to the water. You got green water; it's an algae, but it's also a sponge when it comes to toxins and heavy metals. So your body can then dispose of it rather than having it stored inside the body and killing you.
Okay, so I have a really interesting question for you, and it's based on the title of today's episode. So, Bill, if you were to take a dog and cat, because they probably would be separate ones, and you gave them the superfoods that they really needed to become a superhero, if you were to paint a picture to people out there who love superheroes, what superhero would the dog be and what superhero would the cat be?
Well, when we feed them nutritionally balanced and not completely balanced, because there's no such thing as complete and balanced because the body is dynamic. But when we feed them the right way, they're going to feel good. Now, when we start training them, you see some of these working dogs, especially the farm dogs, herding sheep and that sort of thing. And border collies are like unbelievable, fast as lightning. They know exactly what to do. It's bred into them instinctively. And those dogs are truly superheroes. When we look at them in agility classes and at the dog shows and that sort of thing, some of these dogs are, amazing. Malinois, when it comes to law enforcement, those dogs are absolutely crazy, but they have to be healthy. Because if you ache, you can't move like that. And and of course then when I look at the superfoods, I'm looking at things like spirulina and chlorella. I'm looking at things that are going to detox: milk thistle, dandelion, turmeric. All these things we think of as spices, but they're not. They're plants. They're ancient plants, and they're a food, not a supplement. We have to get away from
Mm.
supplements and find the foods that actually contain it. You look at, we were talking about a little bit about copper. The number one source for copper for us is beef liver. Nobody wants to eat beef liver anymore. Some people will take it in the supplement form, as long as it's ground up, but I can't eat liver. And
My
that was
my
actually removed
dad
from our
used to
diets back
order
in the
that.
50s.
My dad used to order that at Lester's Diner all the time, and because
Yeah.
Jews from his generation all ate liver and onions.
That is a
Yeah.
bad combination flavor
Yeah.
wise.
Well, you gotta have the onions to overshadow the liver, and then of course as Jews we all eat chopped liver, uh, you know. But here's the
Yep.
funny thing, okay? So I want to find out from you because it made me think of my dad. My dad, we would go to a restaurant sometimes, a deli, and he would order. You don't really see it much nowadays, but that's probably because we're in Florida. Uh, and he would order tongue. Now, he would be funny because we'd sit at the table and he'd put the tongue
Yes.
in his mouth and he would go like this with it. But like I'm thinking to myself, is that really good to eat a tongue? And so I'd like to get your input on that, Bill.
Yeah. We used to eat from nose to the tip of the tail. Everything was eaten, and different preparations and that sort of thing. Um, each muscle, each body part brings different minerals and nutrients and vitamins to the table. And if you go back far enough, we used to eat it raw. We didn't cook it. You know, our bodies are
We didn't
designed
have
so that we
fire.
can protect ourselves against. No, when fire was done, when we started to see cooking, usually it's in these prehistoric sites that they find, and they find mammoth skeleton with charcoal while they cook their food. No, that mammoth probably died during the winter time, was frozen. They actually used the fire to thaw it out so they could eat it. It
Ah,
wasn't what we're told.
wow. That's pretty
So
cool.
and yes, all the body parts. I mean, like I say, we have some of the best steaks in town that we sell, and of course, all types of poultry. Pork, lamb, bison, and we actually sell beef tongues and pork tongues, by the way, too.
So another
And we cook in
question then,
tallow, not seed
another question
oils.
then is how come Texas is the only place where they serve balls? And how come the Philippines is one of the only places they serve intestines?
Again, a lot of this has been because of government control. You know, the the fighting men used to eat every body part. That's what made them masculine. That's what helped make the testosterone. Now we feed all of our animals, you know, GMO corn, GMO soy, both of which are phytoestrogen products. So we're changing that hormonal balance. We're not producing more because these cuts aren't available. The USDA and the FDA say no, that's not food. But yet you go to a foreign country and they're eating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Primitive societies are still doing that.
Yeah.
We're here in South Florida. The cuts of meat that a lot of Hispanics order and buy. We sell brains. We can't get them in through normal processing now because all of our stuff is USDA inspected. We're trying to keep it local. Made in really grown in USA, but they can get some of these secondary parts because they're bringing it in from overseas.
Mm.
And that is was
And
I was going to
I
say
saw a
something
figure that
about that because you don't have to go that far. If you go to Mexico, you can have a taco of whatever body part you want. They have the tongue one. We call it barbacoa. We have the head one, which is like all the meat around the head. We have sesos, which means
yep.
brains. So you do have that in other countries that people just don't like eating here.
Well, I'll also
Well,
add too
it's
that
marketing.
Mm.
if you eat brains, you're gonna be in a movie about a serial killer here in the United States.
Well, you only have two options here in the U.S. You're either a zombie or a serial killer, right?
Exactly. And what you're saying about the estrogen is right too, because like all soybeans, men are not supposed to eat soybeans because it has always estrogen in it. But you think about it, okay, you're talking about, you know, the strong masculine men of times past, and now you have dudes crying at a Taylor Swift concert.
Well, it's all that soy milk that you're
Yes.
drinking, right?
So
Yeah. One other thing about these odd body parts too. If we go back to ancient Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, their cures where you treat like with like. So if you got a liver problem, you eat liver. If you got
yeah.
I know I've got friends that were born overseas. When they had a test in school, their mom would fix scrambled eggs and brains because we're putting the right nutrients into there that's going to actually build it. Our body doesn't have to search for it. Yet heart problems, eat more heart. Um, it's that simple. Bodybuilders, they want to grow muscle, so you have to eat muscle meat. The nutrition is already there. The profile of the chemicals, the natural chemicals and nutrients are right there. So your body doesn't have to search for it and steal it from someplace else. So they're cures. Food is medicine.
Well, how can you tell people more about medicine? Tell them how they can reach out to you, how they can check out My Paleo Pet, how they can check out Pet Health Cafe, all that good stuff.
All right. So obviously, you can go to Pet Health Cafe and listen to me on Thursday nights or 24/7 on YouTube, Spotify, and a whole bunch of other platforms. Listen in your car on iHeartRadio and again a number of podcast platforms. We're in our 18th season. My Paleo Pet online, mypaleopet.com. Then also you can reach me at pethealthguru.com. And we have these sites and we're on the social media, everything else. My Paleo Pet, the physical store, is going through a move within the next 2 weeks. We're moving to a new location, still undisclosed, but we'll be making announcements of that in the next week. There'll be a brand new store, twice the production area, twice the retail space, and right near our old location. It's gonna be within a half mile, and we're excited about that. We may have a few interruptions on getting some products for a couple weeks while we're in the process of this move, but we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be moving forward. More consultations, more services for both pets and people to keep everybody healthy. And, we'll be launching that, like I say, within the next month.
Love it. Well, you're always a wealth of information for health for ourselves and for our pets. And we welcome you here every week. And next Monday, we'll have you again talking about some important issues having to do with pets and our own health. And so thank you, Pet Health
Yes.
Guru, for all you do for all of us in the world that are getting poisoned.
No. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
All right. So, Juan, you know what time it is?
Time to give away some tickets.
I think it's about that time. So now is the time. We're going to play a couple commercials here, and you send me a DM on AMI socials and tell me what festival you're looking to go to. You might be a winner.
Louder Than Life, North America's loudest rock and metal festival, returns to Louisville this September with My Chemical Romance, Iron Maiden, Tool, Limp Bizkit, plus Pantera, Pierce the Veil, Gojira, Papa Roach, and more. Nearly 200 bands across 7 stages. Louder Than Life at the Kentucky Expo Center, September 17th through 20th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at louderthanlifefestival.com. Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil, plus Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, and more. Aftershock, October 1st through 4th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at AftershockFestival.com.
The answer is yes, Juan. I was just about to tell you that. But yeah, now we're going to go into the business segment. Oh my God, some great information from Michael Barbarita, the resident expert on business, with some powerful business strategies right here. We're going to hear about some creative follow-up methods.
You're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and this is our Positively Pipeman segment. And we're going to talk about some powerful business strategies right now with our Next Step CFO, Michael Barbarita. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Dean.
So we're going to follow up from last week with some creative follow-up methods.
Yeah, this is for those when people ghost you or they're not getting back to you. You make phone calls and they're not getting back to you. I was speaking with a high-powered sales agency a couple of weeks ago, and actually one of the salespeople in that group worked for Grant Cardone. And they put together a list, they have what they call follow-up bingo. And if anybody, there's like 20 or 30, I think even more, like 40 methodologies of follow-up in their bingo card. And if anybody goes across or down or diagonal for five follow-up methods in a week, they get a prize. So these follow-up methods are tried and true. They're very creative, and they work because it gets people's. Once again, it's about getting people's attention. And these are people who you've called, they haven't returned your call, or you don't even have to wait for that. It could be just a follow-up from a very recent conversation. It doesn't have to be a follow-up for somebody ghosting you. So I'd like to just give you a couple of examples. One real good example is a selfie video. If you do a selfie video and just say something like, Dean, I was thinking about you. I just wanted to, follow up. I was thinking about your particular situation. I just wanted to let you know that I'm an advocate, and hope to talk to you soon. Something to that effect, or it could be something where you want him to call you back. But it's a selfie video that you put in the email, or you can text it to him, and that's just a very powerful way, personalized way of following up. So that was one. Now, here's another one. I know Pizza Hut does this, okay? Pizza Hut will follow through on this request. And by the way, if you're local to whoever it is that you want to follow up, you could do it yourself. But here it is. So you call Pizza Hut and you say, look, I want you to take out I want you to give a full pizza. I want to buy a pizza, small pizza, let's say, with the 6 slices, but I want you to take one of the slices out. And then when you underneath so when you open it up, I want you to write in the box, the only missing piece is to make a contract with, let's say, Next Step CFO. Next Step CFO. So the only missing piece is to get a contract with Next Step CFO. So that's another follow-up method. And you send that around lunchtime so that they can have the pizza for lunch. Even though it's missing one slice, that was the point. That's worked very effectively, by the way.
I love it. I got another restaurant thing. Okay, so
go ahead.
As far as a brilliant follow-up method that the specific restaurant does is Carrabba's, but also Outback and Bonefish Grill, because they're all owned by the same company. But every time I go to Carrabba's, I get an email afterwards with a reward to go back to Carrabba's. Okay. And it's usually like a $10 reward. And so what happens is the next time I'm going out to eat, I don't want to waste that $10. Okay. I'm a businessman. I'm not throwing away $10.
Right.
So I will go back there to eat just to take advantage of that $10, and usually end up spending the same amount of money as I would have without. Like, you think that you're getting a deal by doing that, but you're really not. And then it becomes an ongoing thing where it's like, oh, I gotta stop going because every time. But here's another part of it too that's even more brilliant, because again, like you were mentioning ghosting, if you haven't been there for a while, they'll just throw you a random $10 because it gets you back in there. So like if I haven't gone there in like a month, they're going to send me $10. Hey, we miss you. Here's $10. And I'm going that night.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's excellent. And so another method is what it's called a chocolate foot. So Amazon sells chocolate feet. So it's a chocolate bar that looks like a foot. And you send it to somebody and say, this is just to get my foot in the door. So that was another methodology of once again,
that's brilliant. Number one. Number two, I was thinking now I have to talk about that chocolate foot on my more shocky type show, because I'm thinking chocolate foot, that could raise a whole nother conversation there. And who knows, you might get new people because, like, even if they're really into feet and not chocolate, they see that. And,
That's right.
Me, I'm a chocoholic, though. You send me some chocolate, I'm yours.
I know, me too. That's a good one. Another thing is knowing if you're really, if you've had a couple of conversations with a customer, it's good to try to get their favorite coffee at Starbucks and send that to them. Also,
and Starbucks loves when you do that too.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I know that. I'm calling it the Forbes cover, but I don't want to use that. It's just so that people understand the concept. But you put a name of a magazine that's coordinated with the business that your prospect is in, and you put their face on the cover of that magazine with all the features and benefits that they realized because they worked with you. And you have AI do it. Okay. And I've done it. I haven't done it with a client yet, but I have done it with my face. And I put ChatGPT will not use Forbes, although I don't want to use that anyway because that's copyrighted and trademarked and all that. But you create a name for a magazine because there's so many names for magazines, and it can look just like a Forbes magazine cover, but instead it has your client's face and maybe an award they won. Who knows? That you've made up, as well as the features and benefits of working with you and the accomplishments they've already achieved because they worked with you, and it's on the cover of a magazine. So that's another one that works very well. These have worked famously in terms of getting attention and getting that call back. A handwritten letter, that is another thing. Once again, that's old school, but that's on their list of things that of ways to follow up that have worked really well. The other one is really really interesting, but it needs to be done with a team. So if you work with other salespeople in the same building or same office, or it doesn't have to be salespeople, other people in the same office. It's where's Dean? So in other words, what somebody would do in their office is start a video and they'd say, where the heck is Dean? And then they would go to another employee. Have you seen Dean? And they would show, I haven't seen him in a couple of hours. And so they keep going to another employee, and you would be in a closet. And so the guys running the video knows you're in the closet. So he opens the door and, Dean, what have you been? I'm not coming out here till Harry calls me. I've made 5 or 6 phone calls to him. I'm not coming out of this room until he calls me back. And then you send that to the client.
That's pretty funny. I like that.
Isn't that amazing? So it's these types of follow-up strategies that have proven to work.
I'm thinking about that video you created. I was imagining me like doing a video where I'm like creeping around the corner, looking around the corner.
I mean, by the way, it's any video skit, but that was the one that they suggested. Any video skit would work well.
No, I think the one you're talking about is amazing.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
how do we get more of these cool ideas from you, Michael Barbarita?
Actually, I have the bingo card that I'll be happy to share with listeners. So all they have to do is go to nextstepcfo.net /contact, and then fill out the contact form, and in the message section put follow-up bingo, and I will get them that template that'll show all the there's about 24 in total, 24 ways that they can follow up with different ways that they could follow up with prospects. I think I named 6 or 7 of them.
Nice. Well, once again, entertaining and informative. Thank you, Michael Barbarita from Next Step CFO, for these powerful business strategies right here on the Positively Pipeman segment of the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Thanks for having me, Dean.
My pleasure. We'll see you next week. We're going to actually revisit a topic we've talked about before. So anybody that missed it, you don't even know what the topic is. So as far as you're concerned, you all missed it. Tune in next week right here, Mondays, 1 p.m., The Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.